Welcome to the Success Journey Show. Let's travel together through the lives of individuals on the road to success.
Hey, what's going on, travelers? It's Ricky Venters and Marlon Madden. And we are back again for another episode of, you got it, the Success Journey Show. What's going on, everyone? What's going on? Marlon, what's good, bro? How you doing today?
I'm living a dream or somebody else's nightmare. I'm good, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
How you doing?
I'm doing well, man. It's a beautiful day.
Would you be my neighbor?
Stealing from my man. I forget the guy's name now, but yeah, man, I'm doing well, dude. I got to tell you, last week, Friday, I got to the point at the end of the day, I was done. My brain hit max use. My body was just tired. As those don't know, I've been doing a lot of dieting and things of that nature, man. Dropped 40 pounds over the last few months, and it's been great. It's been really good for me. But when I went and started working out last week, and my body wasn't ready for all that I put it through. And that on top of everything that we got going on, work, all those different things, kids, family. Friday afternoon, I was just like, I'm done, man. And I realized I went over and I sat down at my piano, and I was just like, let me just play something. And I was like, let me just record what I'm playing here, whatever. And I forget that that's my space of like release, of refueling myself, getting my body back in alignment, getting my spirit right, physically, mentally, spiritually, all those different things. And it's I can count on my hands how many times that I go over there and actually just sit down and carve out time to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I was in a meeting today, and we were talking about different ways for mental health and things of that nature. And someone said, playing instruments is huge in bringing your body to a relaxed state and bringing happiness and the endorphins and things of that nature. I was like, man, I remember growing up when I was 12, like 13, and I'll get mad, something happened, parents, or I'll get upset, I'm getting in trouble. I'll go in my room and just play a song over and over and over and over again, and that will put me in the right state. And I was like, man, I got to make sure, and I'm not saying music's for everyone, but everyone to make sure they have their thing, right? That they don't move away from that, you miss that part of you that gets you recentered in life.
Yeah.
And I know you always talking about playing ball and all those different things. And,
music and ball. For me, it's music and ball. But when if I'm trying to listen to music and I want to get to that place, I can't listen to like just some low level music. And for people that don't understand, like I like listening to Take Six and pick out the parts and try to understand how they layer things, how they figure out what chords and stuff like that. So for me, that would be, I'd always be, remember back in the day, I just listened to Take Six. I was just like, it just helped me stimulate, it kept my brain stimulated. And it kept me, it wasn't something that was just so simple, I'll figure it out. And I figured from talking to this dude tonight, I figured that the way you think is, and it's so funny because you just think that everybody thinks like you. So you're just like, okay, yeah, that's how you da 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 da. But you think a certain way, and that's how you think. So, and for basketball, just because I love basketball is also a thinking sport. I'm not faster than you, but I have to figure out how to go around you. How do I do that?
Correct.
How do I get the advantage? How do I? So it's a strategy game that you have to play. Some people don't look at it like that, but I look at it like that. So
yeah, absolutely, man. No, we have guys. We had you're in store for a great session. Every week's a great session. We bring on some great guests.
Yes, we do.
We're some good hosts here, and I'm gonna say that, we work hard at perfecting our craft.
Yes, sir.
It's been many years in the making of us doing this. and we enjoy what we do. This energizes us. I can't sleep after these sessions.
Yeah.
Because I'm just like, all right, what do I need to work on? Which just remind me I need to do something before I shut this thing off tonight. But yeah, guys, man, we're really excited about what we're bringing today. But always remember, go to our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com, and see all the things that we're going on. The biggest thing we have going on is our STEM scholarship.
Yes, sir.
For these next few days. When you hear this, it should probably be the next couple of days that we'll be having the scholarship open to where we were helping receive funds. So if you want to contribute to students that are graduated from high school this year and that are interested in going to the STEM fields and they're going to a community college in our area, Hartford Community College, that's who we partner with. Go onto our website. If you want to support their progress, go to our website. And go to the scholarship tab. In that scholarship tab, you can go ahead and donate. In your donation, though, make sure you note that, hey, this is for the Success Journey Show. Why is that? Because the proceeds do not come to Marlon and myself. We don't say, oh, we collected this amount and send it to the college. No, everything, we have it worked out that everything goes straight to the college. The funds are there. They're administered through the college on a schedule to the students that do receive these scholarships, and they manage everything for us that way. So please, if you want to help support the next generation of STEM professionals, go onto our website and go to our scholarships page. And then our last announcement we have is that the Hit Doctor, man, Hit Doctor is doing amazing. Hit Doctor is doing amazing. The elite swing trainer is revolutionizing the game. Is changing lives and at home training, on field training, with teams, with individuals. So if you have anyone that's in the softball, baseball space, and they need to improve their swing, right? They need a healthy and powerful swing. Then they need to get the elite swing trainer and have
they want to hit right
part of the routine. Exactly.
And they want to hit right. Stay on the inside of that baseball, and
yes, sir.
No casting, no arm barring, and no early extension. You want to check out we've got some great reviews back, and we have made it a point of duty to call everyone that ordered one from us. We call them back for some kind of feedback, good, bad, or indifferent. And what we did was we took all of those, all that information just to gather so we can either improve upon the elite swing trainer, or we're validating that it's doing its job. So right now we're validating that it is doing its job. We have some things that people mention, but it's not a really anything that has to do with the design. It's more cosmetic. So we're just going through that and making sure we got our data so that we're not delivering a bad product.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This has been an amazing journey, one that will tell for the ages. And when you walk on a baseball field, you see one of your products out there, and it's like,
or somebody telling you like they told us when we went to the field
at my garage.
On the field. Yeah, I know you guys. I see you guys all over social media.
Yeah.
Oh, for real?
What? Oh man.
Not our faces though, but you see the product.
Yeah. You don't see my face, but you see the product, and that's all that matters, right?
Yes.
So, all right, guys. Well, for now, hey, listen, man. Let's jump into the show. Man, we have a great one for you. So we'll talk to you guys in a sec.
The Elite Swing Trainer from Hit Doctor is a great tool to keep your swing short and compact. You don't need to go to a cage or a facility near you. You can use it at home as well as on a field. My name is Kyle Davenport. I am currently a hitting instructor at Upper Deck Baseball Academy. A common drill that I like to have my hitters do to keep their hands inside the baseball is to go up to the fence and do a fence drill. A lot of times the fence is very hard and it can damage your bat. I love to use this product because it will ultimately replace the wall drill. It prevents them from casting and being long through the baseball where they can only hit pitches that are on the outside or the middle of the plate. It is very adjustable. You can adjust it from any pitch's location between the middle of the plate, outside, and inside, and that will determine how much you keep your hands inside the ball and will allow you to drive the ball to all fields. It will fit on any type of tee, no matter what type of tee you have. It's essential to use this tool because it naturally creates that short path to the ball and long through it. Good. I recommend any player, no matter what level they are at, to use the Elite Swing Trainer.
Hey, everyone. We are here at mine and Marlon's favorite segment of the show. We may just start changing the segment of this show to like fireside chat, right? We just sit down.
Yeah. Fireside chat.
Right. We sit down and we're getting to know, we're learning more about a particular individual and just their journey. And today, we have, you saw me pause for a second. I want to make sure I do this right, guys. Listen, I'm on a streak. I've been getting everyone's name right over these past like 3 years, right? And this one's a challenge for me. So I'm going to make sure I get it right. Don Schmincke. Don Schmincke. I was right there. I'm like 90% there. Don.
That's good.
How are you today, Don? Thank you so much for joining us on the Success Journey Show. What's going on?
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, man, it's a privilege and honor to have you on. Guys, we were talking a little bit in what we call the green room before the show. And when we have a fun-filled, information-filled session for you today, we're going to be covering a lot of different things, a lot of different endeavor that Don has embarked on, that he has completed, things that are coming up in the future. So let's do this to make sure you really capture everything you need to capture from this episode. Just either have your phone out, take some notes in your phone, have a piece of pen and paper, be ready to write down some different notes that you hear, write down some questions that you may have for us as you listen to this show, and be and be prepared to really, really learn a lot today. So Don, I know I set it up pretty big for us today in this show, man. No pressure. But really grateful for you to be with us today to just share your story. Why don't you start off by just sharing with our traveler? We call them travelers. And I hate that we say this every single week. We call them travelers because we're on a journey with them, right? So anyone that's listening to the show for the first time today and you hear us use the word travelers, thank you for listening, one, because now you are a traveler. And that traveler is, in essence, someone that's on a journey to success, because we don't define success as the destination. We define success as the journey, right? So travelers, thank you for jumping in our vehicle today on our road to success as we talk to Don about his journey. So Don, why don't you just start off by sharing a little bit about yourself?
Sort of a checkered past on how much time you have here.
We got time, man. Go ahead.
I was dropped out of high school, and then I got pulled into. I was in rock bands. I was working at my uncle's gas station, and then I noticed people with the good cars had education. So went to a community college and had some fun there. And then they didn't care if I showed up or not because I paid them tuition. So that was big for me. Like, whoa. So, the police aren't going to come after me. So I ended up, there were a couple people there that were retired from Cambridge and MIT area, and so a couple of Cambridge colleges. They said I should apply. I guess they saw something. I don't know what they saw. I just, I don't know what MIT was. I thought it was like a trade school or something. I mean, what was it?
It sounds like it, right?
So I did, and I went through a battery of testings, intensive testing, and they let me in, and it was like, wow, this is interesting. So that's how I got an MIT, and then I started doing a lot of different areas of research and learning, from planetary physics to biomedical engineering, and worked on nuclear trident system guidance systems, and it really was, and some other things, but it was really neat for me because I got a chance to explore. Plus, I have ADHD, so I was getting interested in all kind of things. But I started getting into humans, and that took me to Johns Hopkins, where I did graduate work, and I ended up teaching there. And then I got attached to the executive MBA program, ran into a lot of managers that were talking and complaining about the high failure rate of management theories, or the struggle with all these pop theories to become better leaders. And so they asked me to do a biological study on our species around this. And I thought that was interesting. And so I did. So that's how I got here. So I started publishing books, and they started going into different languages, and people started asking me to speak. And so I've been doing that ever since. And it's been a kick. And I've written a few books, and I've done some expeditions around the world in various remote regions to test and learn from humans and various cultures, and I'm just having a ball. So, I'm a chronic learner, and this is where I've ended up for now.
Oh man, I love it. I love it. So as you guys hear, Don is in our area, that Maryland, Baltimore, Maryland area that Marlon and I are close to. Johns Hopkins, which I also spent quite a few years there as well. And it's just just interesting us connecting here, right, on the show, and really excited about what we're going to dive into. Man, Don, you said some things that really had the hair in the back of my neck standing, because you're like, man, I didn't know what MIT was. I just took a couple of tests and they let me in. Like those things don't even blend together, right? I was in my rock band, and you said working at a gas station, right? So all these different things in life. Dropped out of high school. You said, correct me, right? You said dropped out of high school, right? High school dropout.
I almost did. I mean, they said I had to repeat my senior year, and I said, how long do I have? They say you got 60 days. So literally did the whole year in 60 days.
The condensed version.
All this stuff. And you see him here now today on the show. And the thing that really got me the most as you were sharing that is, Marlon and I have young students, young kids that are students now. And a lot of times you look at them, some of them you see that they're scholarly, they're going to just knock it out the park. And then you have those other ones that are just limping along. You're like, man, what is going to transpire with this young person here, right?
Yes, sir.
And just hearing your story from just a quick synopsis of it, it was really encouraging. But if you could, go back to, that time where you were in that band and that was your passion, and you were doing the working at the gas station, making some change to support I assume at that point it was like your dream, right? Hey, my dream, I'm gonna be a musician. We're gonna travel the world as rock stars, right? Talk about those years in Don, and kind of what even led you to the decision to say, let me try out going to this community college and try to figure out some things at that point.
I remember just not being satisfied. You know what I mean? It was. I just think there was so much more to do, and I wasn't sure what that was and what that meant. But I wasn't really satisfied. Where when I looked out 5 or 10, 20 years, I couldn't really see like what that meant, but I knew there was something. So I was always challenging myself to get into different things. So I can learn more and try to figure all this out. So I don't think I had any plan or any, there wasn't any design. Some people do, I didn't. I mean, some people are like, well, I really love playing the trombone, or I really love studying rocks and geology. And that's great. They spent their whole life being terrific in that area. I kind of wish I had something like that, where it was just one thing that I just wanted to do and just did everything to be good at it. But I was really more in a confused state, because I knew that something was there, and I wasn't sure what it was. And so, maybe I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, and they go through the same stuff. They're like, they're not sure, they're exploring, they're learning, they're making mistakes. They're, like that. I've made tons of mistakes. I mean, I just gave you the highlights of the good stuff.
So what the reason for your lackluster for high school, was it because high school was easy? Because obviously you got into MIT and all that kind of stuff. You're very smart. So was it because high school was easy, why you just said, or you're like, man, the work that they're giving me is not something that interests me, I just don't want to do it? What was that decision right there?
It was, yeah, I was bored. I mean, I was just bored. And maybe if I was in a different place and they challenged me and, got my face into it and said, you need to achieve this goal and it's going to be hard. And then I would have maybe perked up a little bit, but I was just there to get through the machine, and just get spit out and move on.
And I don't want to say, me and Ricky always say, don't talk definites like everybody. But if you look a lot of your high level entrepreneurs, you find out that they went to school and school was just not their.
Yeah.
They never brag about their school years. Their school years to them is not even that much important. I think it makes them somewhat, but that's not what's important to them. Wasn't that those school years, or they're just like, it didn't entice me to stay in the school. And I'm saying that because there's a lot of parents that have kids that their kids are going to school and they just think like, oh, the kid just is not smart. That's why he's not doing good in school, or he's not good. I'm not saying that they're going to be the next Steve Jobs or the next Bill Gates. What I'm saying is help them to explore those options. Now, once you found out, you're in the rock band, and I can see the correlation because they say the same side of the brain that works with music usually works good with numbers and all that correlation. I'm seeing that's true in your case. Now, what made you, so when you went to the community college, what made you get interested in the field that you went, especially to MIT?
I was trying different things. I mean, I was exploring, anthropology, what's that all about, physics, mathematics. Back then, computer science was just emerging. It was a bunch of lights on a panel you were plugging in, but it wasn't anything like it is now. So it was just new information, new knowledge. And I think what it gave me is it gave me a chance, because at the community college level, I could take anything, anywhere, any topic. So it's a great way to explore and learn and try different things. And that's what happened. So I never really knew. I got really excited about engineering, though, and the sciences. It was one area that I think egged me on to, but the rest was just an exploration.
Yeah, it's the engineering science and then going into MIT. And I can just imagine that environment alone is, they push all their students. I mean, no matter what you're getting involved in, you're worked with the cream of the crop around the world. I would say cream of the crop. Some of the most intelligent individuals from around the world are there, especially focused in those STEM fields, right? Engineering, technology. So while you were there, did I know you love a challenge, right? And being challenged and being pushed, but was there ever a moment of, man, what in the world did I get myself into? This is completely different than what I've ever experienced in my life. Or was it welcome?
No, I there was several times a week where I was, you're sleeping 3 hours a night. You got homework. You're just taxed to the max, and studying. And several times I'm like, geez, why didn't I just accept my enrollment in the University of Colorado at Boulder? I'd be in the middle of the mountains, right close to the ski. I could be skiing right now. I could be, there are a lot of times I was like, what the hell am I putting myself through this for? But but it was worth it. I mean, it honed it. And I mean, a lot of people, we have the school spirit was IHTFP, which we had a T-shirts. It was on the school ring even at one time, called "I hate this freaking place," but it wasn't freaking. They didn't use
it wasn't freaking.
And but that was it. We were kind of like proud of that. We made it through such a challenge. But I did learn a lot. And obviously, I met some great people. I still get together with my frat brothers online for one of these Zoom calls and things. So it was stimulating. And for me, I didn't know I'd be training 700 CEOs a year. If somebody had told me that, I would have been like, "You're crazy." I mean, it's like I don't even know how business works, And yet, here I am.
But you said you worked at your uncle's gas station, right?
Yeah.
So somebody in your family had some kind of entrepreneur spirit. What was it? Just your uncle, or that was your whole family? Because now we're going to get into where did this entrepreneurial spirit come from? After you give all your time to MIT, and you say, I want to be, I want to go to entrepreneur. Where did that come from?
I have no idea. I think a lot of it is the research that we've been doing in evolution and neurology. I think a lot of it can be biological, and not necessarily genetically passed down, but there's been some fascinating work done with levels of thinking, levels of complex thinking. And I would love to fund this research, but a psychologist at Hopkins, Dr. Elliot Jacks, had come up with this complex thinking levels in the brain. And in other words, some people think at this level, it's not about intelligence at all. It's not IQ. It's just like complex thinking, like figuring it out, connecting the dots. I mean, you ever run into somebody like maybe there's just a complex world issue or a topic, and you start talking about like, hey, what's going to happen in 5 or 10 years? And then there's like deer in the headlights. They just understand what you're talking about. It's not that there's anything about intelligence that's missing. There could be very brilliant people, but it's this complex thinking level. So some people can think out 10 years, some people can think out 100 years. Other people can think out a few months. And I think that is what's happening. Now, when he segmented the population of the human race, he found out that there were certain ratios and groupings. So there was only a few at the top and many, many more at the bottom, which is as it should be, because most people have to do things.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, so Cambridge was doing some interesting research on how genetics occur in the womb of the mother for various characteristics. And I think this is one unexplored area. So at some point, I'd like to find a philanthropist who would like to fund something around that. So my point is that it could be biological, that there's only so few entrepreneurs, because if everybody was an entrepreneur, nobody would get anything done.
Correct. Exactly. Correct. You're 100% correct. Now, man, you rolled, and I don't want to think myself as that. I'm just going to think complex problems. That is, now when you're saying complex problem, they're working out the complex problem. That the person just looks at it, they're just very analytical, logical, or is just, well, you don't have to be just that for complex problems. But what makes up that complex problem, and what do you think from your study or from what you've gathered that makes that person think like that, or how do they think that's different from just somebody that's straight up intelligent? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a lot of Nobel Prize winners who are extremely intelligent, but they're not running companies.
Correct.
Because companies require looking out 5, 10 years, seeing patterns, figuring it out. So there's various dimensions of can you figure out a long-term project and make it happen? And only few people can do that. It's like, I've never met him, but I love to meet like Richard Branson, for instance. I mean, at first he's, we're gonna mail stuff to the post office, music, and then they have a strike. Oh, let's try this, and we'll open some stores, and maybe we'll go online. And I like airplanes. When we start an airline, and cell phones are cool. Can we start a cell phone? I like railroads too. Let's do a railroad, and let's go into space. I mean, this is breakfast. This is breakfast. Okay, this is breakfast conversation.
Yeah.
So you get what I'm saying? It's the same with Elon Musk. Same thing, right? Hey, let's bore tunnels. Hey, well, I'm going to go into space too. I finished PayPal. Why don't we do? So you go through the whole list, and people are thinking, how is this person thinking? Well, I think they're thinking like entrepreneurs, and that's not trainable.
No, it's not. It's not. It's a special breed, and those individuals, like some people will look at them, like, man, they're always busy. They're always doing something. They're too busy. They need to relax. And you're thinking to yourself, like, I'm not doing anything. I'm just doing, like, I'm just being active. I'm like, this ideas come to mind and try to figure it out. That's it. I love that perspective. And I love that aspect of research that you mentioned of, something that should be explored, because I think a lot of people, I remember there was a time where, when I start learning that concept of that, not everyone is the entrepreneur, is like you were trying to, I was trying to work with individuals that wasn't what they do, but you start getting that level of frustration because you want them to, hey, think entrepreneurially, think like that. And it's like, no, everyone is not supposed to think that way. Like you said, some people have to they feel comfortable doing their work. They feel comfortable seeing the plan, seeing the vision, executing on it, then getting another a plan. All right, let me execute on a plan. And that's how you build community, right? That's how you build society, right? And that's how it's going to be. As you mentioned, you being a lifelong learner, I really believe that that's one true element of entrepreneurship as well, and just being a leader in that sense. And I know you talk to leaders, like you said, CEOs, 700 CEOs, right? And I know it's probably more than that.
But
How do you?
I mean, I learned a lot from these guys because I've trained about.
Yeah.
They told me, because I've been doing this like 25 years or so. They're like, you've trained like 30,000 CEOs, and I'm like, wow, really?
Yeah.
I think they're training me as well, because when I look at what's happening, and this is interesting about they talk about the success journey. I have found, and this new book that I'm writing, Winners and Losers, came out of a research project that was like done on me by Mark Levy. I don't know if you ever heard of Simon Sinek, but he's the guy that helped Simon.
I don't know Simon.
Start with why. So Mark's coach is, Simon's coach is my coach. So Mark Levy's, he was getting into this thing is done. What you're doing is dealing with winning and losing. You're transforming companies rapidly, more than they've ever seen, because you're using a whole different way of approaching it. And he said, but part of it is losing. That's what we don't teach about the success journey, is how to be unsuccessful. In other words, how to make mistakes and learn from them. And when I started going through this, I started seeing like all of my mistakes and what was really happening. And I think that that's something we should be teaching. To be successful, you need to learn how to lose powerfully. So most people lose like losers, but entrepreneurs learn how to lose powerfully. They grow, they learn, they get stronger. I mean, getting back to Richard Branson, because I was just looking, when I was doing this book, I had to do some background research. He would have gone under unless he learned and pivoted. His soda company, Virgin Cola, fizzled out. His Virgin Cars project didn't rev up. His Virgin Digital didn't download. His fashion company didn't become fashionable. And he just put on hold Virgin Orbit, which is part of the. So I'm thinking this guy has like every entrepreneur has a series of mistakes, but the difference is in the losing, he became more powerful from it. And I think that's what you need to do, because we teach winning like, oh, if you're losing, then it's bad. And people get discouraged, or they don't take that success. They don't keep on the success journey. Whereas if they're taught like, no, that's great. That's great. What did you learn? How are you stronger now? And now let's keep going. The first book I did was on the samurai from 700 years ago. And it was like, the Japanese have this phrase like, 7 times down, 8 times up.
Up. Yep.
You've been listening to the Success Journey Show. You can check us out on our social media on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook. Also on our website, thesuccessjourneyshow.com. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's what this is. Make a great
that's
man.
Key. Yeah, that's key, Don. I know it also resonates with me. Failing quick, right? Failing quickly. Let's talk about that. Being willing to, how do you learn and fail or lose powerfully, right? Let's talk about that, because a lot of people, they hear that, but they really can't conceptualize. What do you mean lose powerfully? How do I take from losing? And it makes sense to us, but let's break that down to a level from our listeners of how they can apply that to their life, or how they can apply that to any endeavor that they're trying to embark on.
I think people that have been causing great changes in the world have been telling us this, but I don't think we've captured it. I mean, like Mandela, wasn't he the one that said, I never lose, I either win or I learn.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think losing powerfully means you're learning powerfully. And unless you're making those mistakes, then you're playing too safe. You're probably not growing, and you're stagnant. So,
Yeah.
losing powerfully, I think, is an art we should be teaching, so that we all can grow and not be discouraged, and take the risks.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
if you look at society, one more thing on this.
No, you're good, Rick. You're good.
If you look at society from young, the educational system is set up, and we know this based off the factory model, right? A manufacturing model, where being wrong is detrimental to that assembly line, right? And so in school, you teach when kids do not do well is they're scorned or get a bad letter grade, and they're put in that section of, hey, you're not a good student, you don't perform well, all these different things, versus having that mindset of, okay, this letter grade means that there's areas of improvement, right, around these topics, right? How have you seen that play out in terms of our mindset and just trying to help shift and cultivate what failure really means? And how can we start doing that at a young age for the society that we're in?
I think we need to unleash our teachers.
Expound.
We've got so much bureaucracy and rules, and you can't say this, you can't say that. But the good teachers that are out there want to take the journey with the children and look at their mistakes and encourage them. Like, what do you learn from that? And make them feel like this is all part of the journey. It's not like you're bad, you did something wrong, you're a loser, and try to get better next time. And good teachers know how to develop that. And I think we're not unleashing our teachers. Not that there's bad ones out there. Sure, there are, just like any place else, but there's a lot of good ones. And I think most of them are good, but I think they're restrained with paperwork and regulations. And if we just let them, do what they know how to do, I think it'd be a good start.
And just studying for a test, right? You I think that's one thing that all we have our kids is the metric is the test. Just the test. So if just the test is the metric of how smart you are, once you get that 70, it doesn't say that you have the ability to learn. You can flip it and say you need to, if you got 70, you have 30% more to learn. Yeah. Right? Flip it some way. The metric of the test is just fail, pass. That's it. Yeah. So now the kid just think, well, I'm a dummy because I can't grasp this conversation, this concept. But you have 30% more that you could be learning. And now let's get to that 30% because we know you understand that 70, which is great. So now let's get to that 70. But if that teacher's only teaching for you to pass, they don't care about that 30 that you're missing, or the 20, or even the 10 if you score 90. They just want you to pass.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've seen different ways of teaching. I think it was in Europe. It was interesting when I saw teachers that were working with dialogue. Like what does this mean? Like, tell me what you're thinking as you go through, like math or something of this nature, which allows them to, in the dialogue, discover something. But then I get it. I mean, you're right. It's an interesting model you were saying is like, it's like an industrial level. Let's get this part fixed and honed, and then we'll, put it back in the engine. But I tell you, I ran into a number of CEOs that said, entrepreneurs, and they said, if I was smart, I never would have started this company.
Correct.
It was so much risk. It was this, it was that. I would have just talked myself out of it,
But they wouldn't be happy though.
They're happy. They're successful. They're making a difference in the world. They're, all that. So, but they could never have their wealth if they hadn't taken the risk and figured it out. And that's one of the things I think we don't teach in school is what your figuring it out capacity.
Correct.
Because that gets into the complex thinking piece. It's like, can you figure this out? And I think we end up hiring people, and we're like, can you just do this thing, do it right, do it. But we're not we're not challenging people to figure it out, like think, grow, create, innovate.
And man, Don, you're touching on such a topic for me because, like, and I think that's why the military sufficed for me when it came to a job. Because if I'm somewhere for 5 years, 6 years, 7 years, I need to go.
Right.
I don't care how I need to go. So moving to different levels and different aspects or different places where it was never the same, you have your foundation but when you're in that situation, you don't feel that fulfillment that you're looking for. When you don't get it, it's a tough thing, because you be at your desk where everybody think you're in a great spot and all you're thinking of is something else. I'm not going to tell no lies. Sometimes I'm thinking of something totally different than what I should be thinking about right now. I'm thinking about, just like you're saying, how can I get to the moon, or how can I figure out this car to do this, or maybe, hey Rick, what about this idea right here, right? So that's how it is. Now I want to talk about that loneliness that have you ever have those CEOs, because when they all come in the same room, they have something to talk about, right? But when there's only one CEO and everybody else around them is just like, okay, time to get the this to this and build this. Okay, all right, I'm done. And they're not thinking like that CEO. Do they talk about that loneliness even at their household? Even in their house, do they talk about that loneliness that they feel?
Yeah, I'm out in Minneapolis right now. I'm probably, I don't know, in 7 to 10 cities a month. And it's a lot of them are CEO groups that are part of organizations. Like this one is with Vistage. And basically that's what happens. They get together every month with peers in a room. And for the first time, people can understand and share what they're going through and not feel lonely.
If someone gets it.
And it's great because they challenge each other. And because it's when you have a peer like that, that's taking the risk, that is figuring it out, but needs to have a safe place with people that, you don't feel lonely anymore. I think that's important. And you're right. Sometimes the success journey is that as the higher up you go, the lonelier it is.
Yeah. Yeah. And people just do not, like you said, it's very hard to find people that understand just your thought process. Like some people will look at you like you're crazy. Like Don, I promise you, there's so many times people say, like, Rick, what do you do? And in my head, I have a list of like 15 things that I know that I'm working on, that I'm actively doing, and I'm doing very well. But I'm like, man, I'll sound so crazy to this person
if I say all this
if I just start telling them all the things my hands are involved in, right? But then you go to another entrepreneur, they're like, oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Oh man, you gotta add, and then they'll be like, you gotta add this to it, right?
Yes. Right.
Other people look at you like, man, you're crazy. Like, do you have to be doing all those things? And it's just weird. Because you start seeing like, wow, that loneliness aspect of it. If you do not have someone that you can speak that language with and talk and know that you can open up and be like, hey, I got another idea. And they're not going to look at you and be like, I don't know how that's going to work. Sometimes I got to put Marlon in check. He has more ideas than I do. I still have my engineering background where I'm like, okay, I'll hear the idea and I'm trying to work through the solution of it. And the next thing, like 5 minutes later, he's like, hey man, I got another idea. I'm like, dude, I didn't finish work out the solution for the last one. Hold up for a second. But so when you're talking to these CEOs, what talk about just the confidence that you have, even just in yourself, to really help and guide these CEOs based off of the methodologies and things that you're teaching them and the research that you have found. To really stand before them and present yourself as a trainer of leaders. That's huge, man. Talk about that, how you kind of position yourself to be in that room and really facilitate those conversations for those leaders.
I think it all came from, I came at it as a researcher and an explorer. So I never really, came at it like I had to be somebody. It was a matter of learning, making mistakes, and getting better. In the early days, we were trying all kind of different things. I'd come back from an expedition somewhere and there'd be some ideas. Most of them weren't good, but a few were. and then, testing and taking some companies risking bringing me in to help. I began to develop models that had never been developed before. But from the testing and seeing that it has traction becomes, I think it gives you some confidence as an educator to be able to go out there and challenge, people and CEOs. And that's basically what I do. So a lot of it's scientific based, it's evidence based. I've got case studies of like how I transformed. I'm not bragging here, but people ask like, "What did you?"
No, please do, man. You got
some of the largest companies in the world have used my work. I transformed the U.S. Navy's fleet readiness warfare during the Gulf War. Just a lot of things I got involved with, but it was really using the same models, the same capacities. People stop me in airports saying, "Don, I just saw my company 3 years ago. I heard you talk. I put your models in place, and it just changed everything." I love hearing that because as a professor, you want to see students do well. And so it just gives you more energy to keep going. And so I'm going to train, I don't know, maybe 30 CEOs here in Minneapolis in the next 3 days. And so I like it, but I like dealing with them because they've seen everything. They've seen all the speakers, read all the books. So there's maybe a cynical, sarcastic part, and that's my favorite audience. That's my favorite audience because they don't take anything unless you can prove it and validate it. And as a professor, I want that kind of students and my student body there. So I don't know. You have to love the game. If you get intimidated, you're not going to want to do it. But that means you just got to get better at it. You just have to back on the court and keep doing it until you find your strength.
Can you imagine Michael Jordan's trainer saying to him, "Michael, that shot that you need to perfect." Hey, Mike, check this out. When you stepped to the right the last time, you needed to, and he's, can you imagine being that trainer, right?
Right.
It takes a very confident, a very special person to know that, listen, the person you're training is gifted and have all these ability, and they could tell like, "Yo, I've never jumped and hung in the air 15 seconds like you, Mike, but I could tell you how you could jump and hang in the air for 20.
Well, it's interesting. I love it because what you're saying just reminded me like Michael was so, it's one to have the coach to challenge, but the student has to be willing to listen.
Yes.
So they already know everything. They cannot be helped. The thing is, Michael knew he didn't already know everything. I think that's what helped because I heard some speech from where he was like, and I put this in the book that he said, there's going to be roadblocks, and if you don't run into the wall, don't turn around and give up. Just keep going. And he talks about his failures. He missed like 9,000 shots.
Yeah.
He lost almost 300 games. 26 were game-winning shots. He failed more than he succeeded. And that's the point. That's how you win. You have to make enough of those mistakes, learn from them. So he wasn't like, I know everything, nobody can teach me. I think he was learning constantly. So
correct.
The coach probably had a fun job because here's a person who says, I will never be good enough. Keep pushing me.
Those are the people when they walk into a room and they start talking to other people and be like, "Oh yeah, they grab this from here, they grab this from here, they grab this from here," and they're like a sponge for real. People think it's not showing confidence in yourself if you have to ask someone, "Can you show me how to do XYZ?" And that's a lot of problems that we have with these newer entrepreneurs, is that they figure that they just know everything, right? I'm not going to say only new entrepreneurs. I mean, it's been going through the ages, but there is this thing of, I know everything, and because I got it right once, I know it every time. And those are the people that sometimes I tell them like, "Bro, you got to just relax and let somebody teach you how to do XYZ." Now, I see that you're looking down that you did you is there a love for Michael Jordan that you have, or because he's such a perfectionist, why you put him in your book?
Yeah. I was looking for all these successful people because the the mythology I wanted to dispel is that they were successful because they had a history of success. And what I was finding was the opposite. So I took some of these iconic names, Michael being one of them, that it was so inspiring when they openly shared, hey, look, I made a lot of mistakes. And that's how I got here. And that was the consistent theme in successful entrepreneurs is their history of mistakes. I never met one that was successful that said, oh, it all worked perfectly. I did, it just, everything worked and I didn't do anything wrong.
Wow. That is, and I hope all travelers, I'm gonna pause right here for a second, because travelers, I really hope that you're hearing this. And just summarizing the last couple of minutes. Don said he went to go try to find, hey, were you successful because of all the success in your past? But it was more so, no, you're successful because of all the failure in your past, right? Now, there's two types of people. There's someone that just doesn't learn from failure and they just keep failing, right? But there's others that take that failure and say, hey, how can I learn to improve myself? Now, understand this, like our bodies, and Don, you can back me up in this, or cancel my theology or philosophy in this. All right. I'm gonna go on a limb here. Not too deep. But inside our bodies, right, there is a mechanism in place that protects us from danger, right? I can't tell you exactly what it is, but I know that is there, to where if you touch something that is hot, right, and your body recognizes that it's hot, it records a memory of that. Hey, that thing right there is hot, right? Mm-hmm. And a natural response to it from your body is to remove yourself from that heat, right? Mm-hmm. But it also leaves a marker in your brain to say, do not touch that again, because you know what that experience was, right? Yeah. So naturally, I say all that because naturally your body learns from being exposed to things that is going to be harmful to it, right? And vice versa. I mean, it learns from what it likes. Your body's constantly learning from its environment. So if you really look at that, and we really submit to tapping into how our bodies were designed to learn from failure or learn from things that are going to be harmful to us, and let the body help us navigate to be successful or keep us on the right path, then I truly believe that we all could grow in a sense, but we have to put ourselves sometimes in an uncomfortable situation. Mm-hmm. And I think that uncomfortable situation is what scares people, right? Because they do not know what's on the other side of that discomfort. Right. All right. So that was me on my soapbox. I'm gonna let you go from there. And hopefully I didn't go too far off.
No, it's an opening chapter in this book coming out in September, Winners and Losers, because I opened the book and I'm not going to be here to build you up and say, hey, go for it. Look at all the great things you're going to have. You're going to have your Lamborghini, driving to your jet, and all this. It's all bullshit. I said, I start off with entrepreneurship is a curse, not a course.
Oh man. I love that. Oh, it's a curse, not a course. I'm telling you. Wow. It's a curse. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan said that, when they asked Michael Jordan about Kobe, he says, him and I have the same curse.
Yes.
He said, we have the same curse, and that same curse drives us to be how we are. So, I love that opening because, a lot of people want to be entrepreneur. Like you say, they want the Lamborghini, they want the big house, they want to be in the private jet with their phone open and somebody taking a video of them and they're closing $1 million deal. But then when they become an entrepreneur, they find out, hey, brother, you ain't built for this because this is a curse.
Right. Yeah. I mean, and entrepreneurs, they have the curse is partly, risk. Yeah. These people are willing to take risks. They're willing to fail. They're willing to, step out there. But other people, and maybe this is good, most people want to be safe. So we do have some structure in society.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're going to discover new lands, create new civilizations, new companies, go to Mars. I mean, that's going to be somebody that has to be willing to take a risk on it.
I'm not going until the next one, until a couple of them go up and they don't blow up. I'm a risk taker, but Elon, you got to send a couple that don't blow up in the sky, and then I'm going to go.
When they interviewed him, I love it because he was basically demonstrating what we're talking about.
Yeah.
He said, I forget the number. He says, I give a 50% chance of blowing up. I was surprised I got as high as I did.
Yeah.
Because he knew that it's going to blow and we're going to learn a lot
from it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. When is it going to blow? Yeah.
And they are learning a lot. So the next one's a little higher.
Yes. I like, when you sit down and you learn about risk takers, man, Rick and I went and watched sorry, Michael, if you hear this, we didn't just pick on you, but we went and watched the movie Air, Nike. How they made his sneakers and it came about.
Oh yeah,
man, that story right there. It's so all about risk, all about when somebody believes that curse, when somebody believes in a product or when somebody believes in something and willing to take it to where it needs to go and everybody else can't see it. It's all about that. And even I'll tell you this, there's people in the back drop that have helped entrepreneurs that will never get the glory that they should get, but they're significant in the upward mobility of what that entrepreneur did. So that story right there, the Air, when I watched it, I know some people saw sneakers, some people, that's what I gathered from it. And
that's great.
Yeah,
I love that. I haven't seen the movie, but I have to do that because when you look at all these entrepreneur movies, Steve Jobs. I mean, it just go through. Yeah. It's all about the mistakes, the failures, the upsets, and I think we need to focus more on that and not ignore it.
Yeah. Go check it out.
It's one thing. Movie. Yeah. Everyone check that movie out, even though we're not getting sponsored by them by any means. But if they want,
but to, Nike, if you ever,
Nike wants to.
We could put a swoosh on here.
There you go. There you
go. Remove the mountain, put a swoosh on our logo. Right?
Yeah.
Come on, Phil. But anyways, it's a talking about risk, and it's sometimes it's just so uncomfortable, in that risk state. And it's sometimes it has to be something. For me, I'll speak on my behalf. It's different for everyone. The comfort level of risk you're willing to take, right? And there's all different types of level too. I believe everyone has some element of risk that they take every single day, right? As being a human being. But there's those levels those risks where you do not know what is on the other side of it, but you're so convicted that what's in your mind or what's in front of you is something that you have to pursue, that is like, you know what? If I do not pursue this, it will haunt me, right? I will look back and like, man, I wish I would have. And I don't know about you or anybody else that's listening to here. I know there's many people that say, I wish I would have. Man, I could have. I should have, right? All those words that are like, man, I do not want that to be a part of my vocabulary, because of what the potential or what it could have been become, right? And so I just want to encourage everyone right now to, we're not telling everyone to say, hey, go take your most riskiest moment right now after this podcast and just go if you want to see success. That's not what we're saying here. And it kind of goes back to the beginning of the show, is know who you are in this scheme of life, right? And be completely comfortable in who you are, right? And embrace who you are. And like Marlon said, and you may be that support person that helps an entrepreneur. That may be where you're comfortable at. You may be that entrepreneur that may be teeter-tottering and you're like, should I do it? Should I not do it? Am I going to feel weird? And this podcast just got you to say, you know what? Don't think about that. Just do what's true to your heart. And then, just let the chips fall where they fall. But we'll encourage you to kind of be who you are, embrace who you are. And this, going back to what Don said and all his research, it's not about the multitude of successes that made these people that we idolize in our world today and we look up to because of all they achieved. It's the series of failures that have gotten them here to where they are today. Don, man, before we close out, I would love for you to kind of share with all of our travelers and listeners where they can find any information about your books, the upcoming books, any research that you have done, so that they can go ahead and follow you. Any CEOs that are out there that are listening to this, they want to reach out to you for a workshop or bring you in or sit into one of your masterminds or roundtables. Why don't you share that with us now?
Sure. Yeah. The website that I'm trying to put everything on is SAGA Leadership. We stole it from the Vikings as we were studying their migration patterns, but SAGA, SAGAleadership.com. And at SAGAleadership.com, I even have a download there for people that want to uncouple the mythologies, these myths that somehow were sold that aren't real. And like, because we have 30,000 business books a year out there, but how do we select the ones that get to the point, to get to the truth, get to the things that aren't, how do we expose it all? Because right now, as you know, media is running rampant. You can't tell what's real, what's not anymore. Correct. And then this AI thing going on. So that's a great place to go. And also we'll be, if you do the downloads, we'll let you know when the book's coming out, winners and losers. Because I think for you guys, you're in the zone. This is it. Love what you're doing with your show. So hopefully this will help, provide some traction that you can just bounce onto because you're already there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And if you ever think you need to bring us in to help talk to those CEOs.
I think it should be an entrepreneur class for the up and coming entrepreneurs to prepare them, right?
Yes.
And that's kind of where we are, man. We are. I manage in a team of leadership development program currently. Young associates that come into the industry. How do we take them on a 12-month journey to accelerate their growth in their career by exposing them to what is the mindset of an executive? What is the mindset of a leader that you would need to embrace even now as you're coming into the industry, and that you can continue to grow in as you gain experience. And Marlon does that a lot too on his front, led and leads a lot in his area in the military. And we have really, over the years, we have really kind of drawn to this space of teaching and educating around that part. And we would love to stay connected with you. And typically we would have stopped the show at this point to start talking about this kind of stuff, but I'll let you guys that are traveling listening to how we, further our relationships with those that we even connect with. Man, we'll love to just stay connected with you through the years and months, just to learn from you as well, as we're continuing to grow and support the areas of leaders that we're in.
Great. Yeah. Do that. And since we're in the same neighborhoods, we could probably do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. We're going to make that happen.
Absolutely.
Make it happen. Well, hey, listen, we are at time, and I want to be respectful for our time this evening. And Don, we really want to thank you for spending some time with us on the Success Journey Show. To all of our travelers that are out there, we want to thank you for tuning into this episode. And we know you got a lot from this, right? Do us a favor, go to the successjourneyshow.com. Leave us a note of what you took away from this episode. Leave a review or comment on any social media, as well as podcast platform that you hear this on. Share this with somebody. Share this with your team. Share this with your family members, whatever it may be. Write a note, write a review. Let us know how this has transformed your thinking around leadership, around risk, around just growing and being who you are, especially around entrepreneurship. So we want to thank you guys for joining us again for another episode. Don, thank you so much for joining us and being a special guest on this show. And we'll see everyone next week at the same time in the same place on the Success Journey Show. Everyone have a good one. Peace.
All right. One love.
You've been listening to The Success Journey Show, where your dreams, drive, determination, and diligence are the foundation to success. For more information, check out thesuccessjourneyshow.com. The Journey Squad is here helping you to your destination.